It. Yeah, I've started, like, there is memory in my laptop. I've started recording it again. But if you want to back up, do recording, you can always do. I think everybody gets, I've enabled that thing where anybody is allowed to record the presentations or sessions remotely on their computer. Yeah. So yeah, and then you get those things and you just get that host colony of bacteria, basically when you're collecting humus or these kind of very high bacteria, and you're putting it into your Jivamrit mix. So it's the starter colony that these are the bacteria that you want to expand and eat up all those things and just completely take over the Jivamrit. Right. So you put all the things that are needed, the food, the energy, the protein, the minerals and everything, and then you put your starter colony. That's why humus is very important. What kind of humus you're getting and where you're getting it from. And if nothing else, you really can't find something, get it from anywhere because any kind of good bacteria are really nice. And then those good bacteria then start dominating. And then you spread it all over your forest. So it helps you regenerate the bacterial population very, very, very quick. Before mulching, after mulching, I mean, usually we shower very intensely. We put a bit of Jivamrit into the soil itself, half the Jivamrit when we are preparing the soil, which we'll talk about during our execution session. So how to put things, we'll all talk about our execution sessions, what and later. And soil compaction. Yes, that's what happens. I know it's a beautiful car, but think about the soil underneath it. What's happening to it right now? Bam. That's what happens when all the tractors go in the fields and all those things. Compaction is a real problem. When old people, they just jump around the plant after planting it. I think for the old people, it's just that how they've done things all their lives. I have to like really, really give them instructions. Please don't jump around the plant. Try to press it because it compacts it. And because when compaction air happens, there's no air going inside, no water going inside, nothing can breathe. You don't want it. Please avoid compaction. So yes, the two survey assignments for you guys with this. One is a species survey assignment, and I'll show it to you. And one is a biomass survey. So for biomass survey is what I want for you guys to do is, think about where you are, wherever you live, where you want to make your dream forest. This is where you're going to so think about it. That's your space. And what kind of ingredients, we've already gone through a list of all the things we need to make a forest, all the additives we are going to use. So you go through all that list and figure out what kind of air perforation material you use, what kind of water retention material you use, what kind of nutrient material you use, what kind of mulch you use, right? Jivamrit is pretty much standard, so you can let it be. But if you really don't have uh, good good cows and stuff, you can use something else instead of Jivamrit. It's also not essential. There are other ways of doing it. So figure out what's your philosophy in life, what's your policy, and what would be available, what can be most locally available in your area, and you come up with your own biomass list. Okay, I'll use this for this, I'll use this for this, and be imaginative. I've given you a few things, but you know why we're using those things, right? We're using a professional material because it should be small and dry and a little hard and be able to decompose eventually. We use water retention material because again, we use something which can evenly mix in the soil. So we don't want them to clog up. For example, if we just put, coconut husk directly in the coil into the soil, then what will happen? There'll be certain pockets inside the soil where there'll be like very high water tension. So all the roots will be like just going towards it, which would lead to like a lot of conflict. So you want your material to be evenly spread everywhere. So nobody's trying to outcompete each other for these reasons. Yeah. So Miyawaki method, you're doing a high density plantation. So you have to keep everything right. Don't want them to, you know, you're planting a climbing forest. You just want to do those things, right? It's the forest for the nerds. Yeah. So you got it, what I'm trying to say. Uh, yeah, I think you think it's possible. You'll be able to do the some assignment. Yeah. Yes, 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 no. Yes, yes, yes. Very good. Because you guys will have to definitely submit it by Friday. Uh, because again, you'll struggle. Like you realize, like the benefit of doing the soils assignment. It's also the only way we can do things practically over here. And we're so done with. I hate this idea of teaching forest over Zoom, but at least we're able to work on it together. So these little assignments really help us get a bit of practical hands-on knowledge because species survey is the most fun, uh, fun assignment out there, which you guys would love, and I'll show you how. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Uh, hey, oh my God. Qualities of India. It's nice when you can't see yourself and screen share is on. Mhm. Good. So what I want you to do is um, you know, go out, into the real world and start um go out and find a tree. So, like it could be any tree. You don't have to like worry about it. But it's a tree that you could like resonate with or connect with. And try to understand it. Try to understand it with like see it as if you're seeing it for the first time. Forget what it's called. Forget that it's called neem or it's called mango or anything, Just look at the tree, and give it a name that just comes to your mind. It could be like trunk, fruit, and related tree. I mean, it's pretty much nerd who did this assignment. Um, but you can just put it as like Gilheri ki Sasural, or whatever could, give it an imaginative name on how you can connect it, or like the red flower tree, or the the tiger stripe tree. Think of whatever comes to it because the idea is to be able to see. And one of the things I talked about, one of the most essential skill that a forest creator needs is the observation skill, right? And you need to see things as if you're seeing it for the first time. Be able to completely observe them because otherwise your mind overrides it. And like it's already judged it to be a neem tree. It knows what it does. It knows how its leaves are, everything, and you would not be able to observe the things that need to be observed. So yeah, so trunk fruit, give it a name, try to see the height it has, whatever it is. And you can just go approximately. If you're not someone who's good with 8 meters or feet or meters, then you try to say that, okay, it's actually like as tall as like 3 humans, or 4 children, or one dragon, or whatever you feel like is your reference of height. And try to draw its silhouette and put yourself or a person over there. So we can get in comparison of the side, so we get a good like how the tree looks like. And all of us are not arty. I mean, the reason why I'm not showing my own assignment is because my drawing is bad. It's horrible. Okay. Yeah. And as a teacher, while I'm trying to be all humble and other things, I'm not that humble to show to everyone how terrible my drawing is. Okay. I have to keep that man of being man. So yeah, so you do the things, whatever you can scribble and scribble, you put in there, you like these all, try to draw its leaf, try to see its veins, try to see its character, its structure and everything. Try to write what kind of properties it has. Like, is it shiny? Is it smooth? Is it buttery? Is it rubbery? Is it leathery? What does it feel? Touch it, hold it. And if you want, you can even crush it and smell it. And if you can describe the smell also, that will be great. If you can see fruits and like, maybe in some places you'll be able to see fruits, maybe you can see flowers sometime, draw those flowers, fruits. And if you can't find it, then it's just not there. And so you can just say not observed. If you can find it, try to draw it and, try to say how big it was and know what kind of it looked, how it felt, touch the bark, see the bark and touch it. And how does the bark feel? What color it has? What kind of texture it has? Um, Fun. And you do it at least for 3 species. That was fun. It should be a big tree. Well, it's subjective. Big is very subjective. There are trees which are big but not big enough for some people, but there are big trees which are small but not small enough. Some people pick a tree you like. I mean, yeah. If you really want a shrub, it can be a shrub also. That's just up to you. And you should be able to connect with it. And we all have different frequencies and vibrations. Different. Should be like सुंदर लगना चाहिए ना मतलब फील आना चाहिए थोड़ा कि I somehow reconnect. You do 3 things. That would be good, right? Um, it, well, there's someone really, really artistic. Okay. And yeah, maybe I'm just giving compliments. Maybe I should really show my own assignment. But you're really arty kind of person. You can go ahead and do it. Um, this is another. Yeah, yeah. All the best with that. Good fun, no? And now we'll move on. Oh, we have 8:15. I think we can get bit of the species started. Yes, so you're familiar with it before you guys start. Okay, are you guys ready for your last 15 minutes of run? You have to do by tomorrow. Oh, no, no, no. This is you have to do by Friday. So you have time. But you'll have other uh, okay, voice is certainly not clear. So this you'll have to do by Friday. Hey, just because I'm talking about assignment, the voice is not clear. I know where you're getting. I was there once when I was in college. Uh, but that's okay. Assignment समझ नहीं आया तो नहीं किया. Very good, smart. Okay, we are going for it. Okay, so now it's the species. Yeah, college ones. But Sahab, how do we do that? You just figure it out, talk to people, check with the farmers around, what kind of material can be found, talk to people, ki kya kya उगता है आसपास, and try to see if you can use them. Like in the south, it's actually much more easier, probably south and Punjab, it's much more easier to procure, paddy kind of things, paddy husk, paddy straw. But in places where, ragi belt, no farmers in Mumbai, then you'll have check with the Gaushalas. There are Gaushalas in Mumbai. Ari has Gaushalas. Ask them. Where they get these things. Where do they get the husk? What they do is feed their cows, and most of the things that the cow eats, so do our plants. You know. And like they make fun of us, like people like the villages, if you're doing a village project and we're doing it once and they make so much fun of it. It's like because we'll take the paddy straw and go, they will take the husk and go to our things and they will like laugh at us like ये तो हमारी गाय खाती है जो आप पौधों को खिला रहे हो. Yeah, it's true. You're all the same. So like gaushalas are like one-stop solution if you are looking to the forest ecology. Fruit juice shop, yeah, why not? They have like abundance of weird things. But you'll have to also figure out that fruit juice shops, they won't give you a very they'll give you the clumpy things, like if they're giving you fruit waste. So unless they're shredded and properly, they won't be able to evenly mix up in the soil. That would be a challenge. But if you can manage to figure out a way to get it done, voila, you're God. Both on Friday. Hmm. By Friday. So if you can do it before that, that'll be great. That will be very inspiring. And more people will do assignments when they have the peer pressure कि सब कर रहे हैं मैं नहीं कर रहा हूँ type का. So please go ahead if you can do it tomorrow itself. Just put it out there. Inspire the people to do good assignments, and that's how you move as a team, as a group. Because the next assignment that I'm going to give you guys tomorrow is group assignment, and that will be very, very tricky and very difficult. And you'll need to work as groups for that. So you won't have time for all this dramatic. That will be like serious forest business. Oh, lagne wala hai. And remember, I told you 4 days always the hardest, which is tomorrow, by the way. Uh, so you come, please sleep well tonight. I think I'll probably even just rest um, the the presentation for the day, and we can just probably talk about if there are any other questions, and we can take them and talk about it. Tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow we'll do like big adult things. Until now, it's all fun and happy and glory, It's like stories of the forest and la 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 la. Tomorrow is like hard business. Yes. So questions? Happy to have. No questions. Okay, then let me
One question, 1 minute typing.
ask now.
Okay, so with all of this preparation,
Hmm.
how far do you think it actually reaches or matches the level of how the soil is after like billions of microorganisms working on it for hundreds of years?
Hmm.
And if yes, or and also like what are the differences you see, or like how do you gauge it for it to be or not be?
So when I look into personally, so obviously this is all it's still an artificial forest, right? But what we're trying to do is, normally climax species, especially, wouldn't have been able to survive in a very stiff or very compacted or very low in nutrient. Because if you remember, if we look back into the soil succession, about, they are adapted, they specialize in growing in conditions which are very, very uh conducive, like where already there's shade, so they haven't specialized in surviving in harsh conditions like pioneers. They have all those right strategies to survive in hard conditions. They don't have complex things, they don't make complex things, they just chill. But climate species have really like कि भाई जब सब कुछ हो जाएगा उसके बाद they're so good at taking over that they leave the pioneer species behind. It's just everyone has different kind of adaptation. So what we're doing over here is that while we can't bring back all the microbes as they were or all the things, but altering the texture, you know, while we're doing it artificially at the moment, by just being able to do that, it makes the soil breathe much faster. So eventually your earthworms movement will start very rapidly. Your fungi movement will start very rapidly. So all those things which would have happened if you would have like left, just planted a tree, random tree in a soil somewhere and not done anything around it, then all the time it would have taken for that soil to come up to the level to be able to support um, this thing is a long time. So yeah, we'll get it at least good enough to get started, and then the rest of the forest will take over.
So it's more like a quick boost that it gets to reach there faster.
Yeah, no, it's more like you set up like there's a baby which has just come out and it's
Mhm.
struggling to survive, and you put it into a that kind of machine in which they usually
Mm.
put it where things are, so it can, like get over the shock and move on to live. Eventually it will like take care of itself, but you need it as a thing. So that's what we do over here. Just give the soil, make it enough for the saplings to be able to just take over and do their magic, because after 1 year nothing you have put will anyway survive and would already be replaced by all the forest biological activities that would have happened any which way.
In terms of soil quality, will the quality of the soil be same as a soil that's been worked on over years, or it's something that it will build over time?
Yeah, I mean, you're just getting it to good enough. And what you're
Mm.
able to work with is only the texture. So again, if you
Okay.
look at it, that we had both like physical texture and a biological texture. The biological
Mhm.
texture usually comes from a lot of work that the insects and other things do, like all the roots which have come inside and died itself and left that pocket. So while the physical texture can't be changed, we're trying to mimic the biological texture over here by putting all these kind of material. So then, and what happens, the other thing is all these things are then become food for the insects. So they very quickly the insects are coming in because they can and start eating them up and they churn it and then the ecosystem restores.
Got it.
Mm.
One more question.
Mhm.
As you were mentioning that even when Dr. Miyawaki tried out the experiment, there were
Mm.
like thousands of seeds that germinated, but only 3 survived, which is
Mhm.
like what brings it to that survival of the fittest concept.
Mhm.
Here in the forest, when we are planting saplings chosen from the nursery or wherever, and we are providing that environment a lot by our own effort for the tree,
Mm.
but these are not, I mean, does the survival of the fittest, will that forest be as fit as any other naturally grown forest? Because in a natural forest, a lot of the seedlings are eliminated by this way, and only the strong ones stay. But here, because we have provided them that extra additional boost in terms of like natural calamities and all that, will this forest be able to survive as well as another natural forest?
So, so what we do over here is, that experiment comes with the seeds and germination. And then, while there is the survival of the fittest, it's very natural also that a lot of those 17,000 were weeds, which quickly came up to certain things. They were herbs, and they gave up to, they handed it over to the shrub layer, which and eventually the big trees grew up and created shade, and others did not. They were not even meant to last that long. So it's not that that the saplings die. It's just that they phase out and they hand it over to the next thing. So when Dr. Miyawaki says let's just plant 3 saplings, so we don't work with seeds, we work with saplings because what we're trying to do, we are trying to emulate the densest part of the forest itself, where already all that which selection and things should have happened naturally is happening now, where we're creating the पूरा हमने natural दे दिया है उसको. We have worked on the soil, we've created things, and in the final 3 saplings which would have come into there, we are planting it by hand in such good environment that they'll anyway survive and grow up. So they're much more closer to emulating the densest part of the forest than anywhere else. So that's where that comes into it. And it's while competition is half of it, there's also strong collaboration. It's like no sapling can survive on its own, and that's something which is very important part of forest creation. When you come up with the species list, is how you're able to look into the associations, like how you're able to create a community. Like for example, and that's something we'll actually talk about the species um, session tomorrow, about how certain plants need to interact with each other and how they work with each other, uh, and how we mimic those kind of environments in our forest. So that will be there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hmm. So have you used bioenzyme? You can go ahead and use bioenzyme. I don't mind it. Yeah. It's if you don't have GeoMBet, use bioenzyme. Dr. Miyawaki has used this thing, which is again like a bioenzyme. It's called EMV. It's like some 3-letter thing which starts with E, which is like some concoction of microbial something, something, something. It's also very famous in the permaculture circles and the kind of things. So I think we have a Jeevamrit is our Indian adaptation to it. We go to certain places, they make tea compost. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of alternatives to Jeevamrit also. So any of them can be used. The idea is to, you know, the kind of bacterial population you're trying to boost, that is something to be very aware of. Like if you can like somehow in whatever preparation you can include humus, so so you're channeling that growth over a certain colony of bacteria which would be found in abundant in the native forest of where you're going to plant. That's where it actually helps. Technical question, but do we need any kind of permit before we choose to grow forest? Like, can I just choose my plot on land side? Yeah, Macha, it's your expression. And it's like I see forest making is like while it is science, it's also an art. You know, um, while there are people who love working with Excels and try to do deep ground research on botanical history of land and all, it's in the end your expression, and forests are very self-correcting. You just can't get them wrong. So no matter how if you manage to put a few wrong species, let's say you manage to put a species that should not have been in this area, because rest of the forest, as long as you get most of your species right, they will work as a community and just kick this outsider out. Like bhaiya, because all the other species have grown up working with each other for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So forest is self-correcting. So while, yes, what kind of result you would have gotten in probably 5 to 10 years, you will probably get in now in 20 to 30 years. But it's not a bad, it's just a different stage of the forest. You landed up a little earlier on the succession journey. Um, if you remember this. Um, mhm. Yeah, maybe so what the sweet spot that we try to hit, because we are being paid for our job and there's a very high amount of work and quality expected. We try to see if we can uh, hit this level, this exact level, which has where the transition is happening. So we call it the pivot of the forest. Where the forest is pivoting from an intermediate stage to climax community. So it will have elements of both, the climax species and the pioneer species, and bit of the shrubs also, based upon the kind of environment. While here, if you would grow just this stage, it will have mostly climax species and very less pioneer and shrubs. Because pioneers and shrubs would have already moved out to colonize further new areas and lost in the competition in the dark in the climax species. So if you want, you can go ahead with that, but then that becomes very challenging because you need those pioneers to grow up and create the kind of environment because climax species are very slow growing normally. So you want those pioneers to grow up and create an environment, start opening up the soil for you and do all this kind of job. And eventually they're expected to move out and, colonize new areas. Yeah. So at the max, with a species list, which is not very correct, you might land up over here somewhere or probably here somewhere, but eventually it will move no matter what you do. Even if you plant your, like say, let's by three saplings per square meter that we usually plant in Miyawaki method, plant like 300 saplings in a 100 square meter patch. Uh, you know, if you plant it somewhere here, your pioneer species will eventually die and your shrubs will also die. But before dying, they would have played their role in the entire game. Yeah. Mm. Annotate, clear. Hmm. Does that make sense? I mean, okay, I think it does. Um, so yeah, so anybody can fence your forest. I mean, play God for all you care. And we're all gods if you believe in the philosophy of Advaita, but uh, be God. Welcome, the gods. Yeah. I'm sorry, like not hurting any religious sentiment, but I truly believe we're all manifestation of the same God, and that's my personal belief. And the forest is also part of us and part of the same God. How do you volunteer with Dhatiyam Sajalaka? And they're all three things. Dhatiyam works with forest. Normally we don't take volunteers. I'm so sorry because we work with. Um, I mean, it's just a lot of work. Like and commercial sites are very intense and they're like very backbreaking and it's we tried having volunteers, but you can be the nicest person on earth. When we are working large scale projects, it's very hard to manage machines and the laborers and volunteers at the same time. I mean, you can be the nicest person, but after a lot of trying, we really tried. We just have like no volunteer policy for that year. I'm sorry, but Hajalo works in the mountains. Yes, you can come and volunteer there. But if you are like in for at least a long-term commitment, uh, because it will take time to train you, and then you'll be gone. Doesn't have. We're all really, really under-resourced. We all are under-resourced. Like we're like really, we don't have that much money in life, and uh, And I'm pretty sure like a lot of you people are also very understaffed in this. You can figure out, you know, you want like a practical hands-on workshop, come up with a budget, give us, we have a team, we'll come, can do hands-on project at your place. We'll get a good idea of how to do species survey together. Uh, we'll be doing it in forest. You learn and you invite people along with you. Let everybody pay a bit and contribute to the larger thing. And Key Day is this very secretive group. It's a secret, like how you have secret world of capitalist people. They are under their secret societies. Key Day is another secret society. So you can be Key Day if one of the Key Day refers you as a Key Day and watches you. Yeah. Can we spread coconut shell directly without breaking the small pieces? You can spread coconut shells, but why would you like to spread coconut shells? Oh, like if you're thinking of it working as mulch, oh yeah, why not? Um, yeah, spread them. Mhm. When you break it, it can spread more. But even if you don't, but you can't like have like you're putting like a truck full of coconut shell into a small patch. You can have it as part of larger mulch if that's what you're looking at. But because it won't serve the purpose of air perforation material, or if the shell you're talking about, not the husk. The husk, if you want, please don't put it directly, because then it will make small pockets of like high water retention, and there'd be like all the roots coming for it. We are creating a very complicated environment, and we want everyone to have equal opportunity. Because if you don't do that, then they won't be happy. I mean, you can still do it, and forest is forest, but it's just we, we just add too for that. Sorry. Can fruit trees like apricot, plum, apple, etc. also be part of the forest? I'm sorry. Because you have to start seeing into it. We are doing a very different philosophy. We're saying that it's not about trees, it's about forest, and forest is ecosystem. So if your apricot, grew up with the rest of the species as a part of the community over thousands of years, yes, welcome. If it grew with plums, if you're still living in Kashmir, and I'm not even sure, I haven't really done my research over that kind of area. But if apple is truly indigenous to that area, and goes wild, in the forest, and it coexists with other species, then yes, be part of it. But if you want to grow a food forest, what I would suggest is that you grow a patch of wild forest, and then you plant uh, your fruit forest along it. Like one of the um, cases we did where we did a full mix of food forest and Miyawaki. What we did was we made these lines of Miyawaki. We made a like 3 meter belt of Miyawaki forest, and then there were like fruit orchards planted on either side, and then a belt of forest. What it does is that it provides a lot of host of ecological services, um, where it retains a lot of water. You can forget about watering. Watering in the show, we do this kind of thing where you mix a wild forest, and then do those separately, because they won't be able to compete in your forest, because everybody is going to gang up. It's like like how it happens when you're a new kid in school. You have that feeling. Right? Probably you went to good school. I changed 8 schools, in my 12 years schooling. And I was like repeatedly learning new kid in school. I hated it at one point. But that's how your fruit trees will feel if you plant them between the forest. So plant them separately, give them separate space. And they'll be very happy to grow because they will benefit from having a forest nearby. Pest control, tremendous pest control, this amount of predatory insects that will be, forcing themselves in those forests. So every time there's a pest attack, they'll come out from there, eat up all the pests. You'll have the most delicious looking, most nutritious kind of fruits over there. So you can mix and match, but keep them separate is what I would suggest. Yeah, we do like wild fruits sort of thing with uh uh like a lot of wild fruits are there, and that's something very like in the mountains in Red Taluk apple. So many wild berries which can't be which don't have long shelf life. That's why they're not very popular. in the common people. And if you come to Konkan area, there's like another, like, especially if you are there in Western Ghats, Pune, Mumbai, amazing collection of wild fruits. And even in the field of Karnataka, you're anywhere, you'll find amazing fruits. Bale is there, it's a wild fruit tree. Go ahead, explore them, that would be great. Okay. Yeah, more questions? Good. Will we close for the day? Thank you so much. Thank you for your attendance. We end the day 3 here. Enjoy. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you. So, thank you, Nishi.
Thank you.
you. Good night.